Hi again, everybody. Sorry it's been so long. Just life took over. Christmas, writing, family. Just it's been just a busy start to the year. This is Conan. Conan, say hello. No. So apologies. I try and be more consistent now. So excuse me. So why have I called this Boobs, Bums, Fannys and Winkles? Right, before I get there, Fanny used to be a name when I was young. Winkles are things you want to see. Gay meant happy, but not in today's context. Basically, I am sick to death of watching, especially on Netflix, TV now, where it's just everything. I'm seeing everything. It's bums, fannies, boobs, naked, nude, sex. If I want sex, I would watch porn, which I don't, but I would watch porn. I don't want to see, even though I'm bloke and bloke are attracted to females, if you're heterosexual, I don't want to see a naked female on TV. I don't want to see a naked bloke on TV. I don't want to see them having sex. I don't know, it's just like we're regressing, we're going backwards. In the 70s they used to have a lot of this as well, and I thought we moved on from that, and it's increasingly violent as well. It's probably things like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and which I like. Well, Walking Dead became a bit boring after a while. If I don't get it. Why are we having so much of it? And why do we think, with video games, more violent video games, why do we think that means we're evolving? We're not. And we're not. I'm not being old. How can you be old-fashioned if you don't like violence? And there's nothing wrong with the human body. I get to that. And I just don't need to see it. There's a film, the series, I don't know if you've seen it, Altered Carbon. It was quite good, except very violent, very sexual. It just reminds me of, we kind of look at history and we look at the Romans and how they used to do their gladiatorial kind of fights in the, the arena, and people, used to take pleasure out of watching these people kill each other. We look at bullfighting or fox hunting and all these things we look at, and for people with something up here that it appalls us and we like disgusted by it. Yet we're watching it on TV. It's the same thing. It's just not in a live audience. It's still violent. We're still being amused or excited by seeing extreme violence on TV and nudity and things. Really, to me, that doesn't say a lot about us as humans. We're de-evolving when it's not progress. That's for sure. Some people will say things like, "Oh, the Punisher or 2000 AD comics, they're violent." Yes, they are, but I don't need to see it on TV. And we're becoming more accustomed. Our youth, we are all becoming more accustomed to violence and rudeness and anger, and it doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't matter what people or some of you out there might think about me, in regards to I'm living in what this isn't getting better. The world's becoming more angry, more violent, more. So you can't tell me this is a good thing. What's the thing about? Some of you are not going to like me for saying this. My wife and kids were telling me about this singer, and she had taken injections of fat from her body and put it on her bottom to make her bottom super big. What's that about? I don't get it. If you're born with a big posterior, you've got a big posterior. But why? What's the thing about everybody wants to have huge bums? Don't get that either. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of offload myself a bit there. I honestly, this There's too much. There's some good. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was. Before I go there, I mean, horror movies. Yes, back even when I was young, horror movies. If you wanted violence, you saw horror movies. If you wanted to see sex full on, you watched porn. I'm not saying it wasn't out there, but it's commonplace now, so that isn't good. The other thing I wanted to mention is I don't know if you've seen the film Bright. That's with Will Smith. The concept for the film wasn't a bad idea, but again, violent. And F this and F that and F this. Why do we need to? Again, it's the same thing as the sex and the violence. Why is there got to be Fs and shits and things? As though it's common speech. It may be becoming that way, but the media is going to drive it and become even more acceptable in society. And then we people like me and any of you out there who agree with me are going to look like dinosaurs. But we're not the ones who are. De-evolved. We're the ones who are evolved, and people won't get that. And this isn't progress. It really isn't. The other thing that struck me about a lot of the Will Smith films is that you had black gangs and Hispanic gangs. I'm not saying that isn't out there. There's a lot of trouble in places like Mexico and Los Angeles and things. But what the film did was it made it look fashionable. It made it look cool. Especially the opening of Bright. He comes down the steps as he's a policeman, and there's this gang there, and with the chains and listening to that kind of music, tribal music. This is like herding. This is all herding, but it was the chains, the tattoos. It's all herding. It's not individuality. You might think it is, but it isn't. Is there kind of racist in a sense? Because being in a gang isn't cool. If you think it's cool being in a gang, you're a twat. But they're making it look cool on TV. And isn't it, if Will Smith was black, appearing in a film where it's showing, again, black people in a gang, who would commit violence and drugs and things, and that's cool. I might be off on one here or totally off the plot, but it just strikes me as slightly black against black racist, as in I'm accepting I'm a black man and gangs are cool in my culture, and I'm not saying they're not cool in white culture. I'm not saying they're not there either, because they are. But it's not cool to be in a gang. And I'm fed up with sex, nudity, violence, and bad language. Ooh. I mean, it didn't used to be like this. It might have been out there, but not on TV. You don't feed the public violence, anger, in extreme sense, and expect society to just ignore it or not be influenced by it. I don't like this, and I like some of the stories out there, but I don't need all this. Really don't. Anyway, that's my thoughts for today. Boobs, bums, fannies, and winkles. So I'll address something next week, something a bit more light, maybe, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever's bothering me, Anyway, thanks for listening. Ta-ta.